Well, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Board of Directors, the single sole member who got suckered into introducing me today, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, community members, it is indeed an absolute honor to be here with you for what will be my last State of the Region. Yes, you got the hot ticket this year. It has, of course, been one of the most incredibly challenging years in our region's history, and it is truly humbling to be here today, bringing this final State of the Region and seeing the familiar faces and the friends that are in this room. It makes me feel very heartened about what we have to face. But before I begin, I absolutely want to acknowledge my council colleagues. I'm joined by two of them here today, but all of them are worthy of this recognition. Councillors Alt, Boussier, Cardinal, Germain, McGrath, Marr, Stroud, Tatum, Vinnie, and Voyageur. And they are all absolutely committed to making a difference in our community, and I thank them for their service. And when I pause to reflect on what we might deliver in today's State of the Region, I have to say it just didn't seem to fit with what we've been going through. We have been living the State of the Region every single day together, from the continued impacts of the serious economic downturn to the collective recovery that we face from Canada's largest natural disaster. Last year's State of the Region address, I used a particular theme. It was one of strength and resilience, to capture where we were as a community. Little did any of us know then just how much that strength and resiliency would shine through in this year. As we took our leave on May the 3rd, gathering our loved ones, fleeing through flames, forging into unknown arrival points, we watched the news. We were glued to social media, and we couldn't imagine what would be left when that ferocious beast tore through our region. The losses are tragic, but the saves are exceptional. As to those saves, about 85% of Fort McMurray survived. We have a community today because of a heroic amount of hard work done by tireless, talented, strong, resilient first responders, municipal staff, partners in industry, business and social profit sector, and volunteers that stuck together and refused to quit when we needed it the most. People like you, strong, resilient, that's Fort McMurray, and that's Wood Buffalo. Last year, that day, still today, and always. Thinking back to this year and looking ahead to 2017 and beyond, the expression, "to everything there is a season," comes to mind. It is a time to gather together. Our incredible community, safe, resilient, and together, here for each other, home to the strongest people that you'll ever call, neighbors, friends, colleagues, representing over 100 countries from around the world, and representing a geographic area larger than the province of Nova Scotia, and we are doing just that. Living, as we do every day, at the center of one of the largest oil sands deposits in the world, energy has been at our heart since 1870. The boom that ended in 2014 delivered explosive growth, and the truth is, such intense growth can be daunting. Our infrastructure lagged, the cost of living went through the roof, and municipal services were stretched as thin as it gets. At times, it was challenging and frustrating, but we stuck together, and we got things done. Fast forwarding to today, we have definitely seen things like this before, but this downturn has proved to be very different. It's been a bit of a shock after 15 years, boom, intense growth and all that we dealt with. But now we have to acknowledge that oil is going to be, as we say, lower for longer. It's very true that workers, families, businesses, and industry are all hurting from the impacts of these low oil prices. But now we have a chance to turn our tragedy into triumph. As the rebuilding and recovery of the community continues, we'll focus on core services and projects, resident and small business support programs, and necessary infrastructure development across the region. These opportunities to retain and create jobs that are right here in our community when we need it most. It's a time to mend. We think that we can use this pause to rebalance, rethink, and thoughtfully evolve the delivery of essential services and projects, especially in our rural areas. Can't stress enough that our community is a true region, extending all the way to Alberta's border with the Northwest Territories and involving foundational partnerships forged long before with our Indigenous people as we live on Treaty 8 territory. As we walk alongside our Indigenous people on a review and then the implementation of the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, I look forward to better, more respectful and inclusive relationships with our Indigenous people. We have a lot to learn, and they have a lot to contribute to a renewed way of looking at how we can recover together. It's a time to heal. With the 2017 budget on the very near horizon, we are looking closer into what needs to be done to be more lean and efficient, especially given the current provincial review of the Municipal Government Act and the proposed amendments to Bill 21. It's not done because of any political ideology, but because our families need and deserve the prudent approach right now. It's a smart thing and the right thing for us to do. We're busy moving ahead with solid strategic infrastructure such as the Rural Water and Sewer Project, which is the largest municipal capital project in our region's history. So we're meeting the basic needs and becoming better prepared as things pick up again. In many ways, this is set to happen throughout 2017 as we continue to rebuild and ready ourselves for the most important year ever, with extensive construction, reconstruction, and the restoration of homes in our neighborhoods. At the same time, that's why we're moving forward with the recommendation from the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee to deliver secondary access roads and temporary construction roads. We'll continue to champion the idea of the East Clearwater Highway with our provincial and federal partners. Because safe passages in emergencies and a route for dangerous goods, this road really does open up economic opportunity and efficiencies. We look forward to the next steps in protecting our families and strengthening the local, provincial, and national economy. During our disaster, I distinctly remember the first couple of important calls that came from important people. First one being the Premier, and the second being the Prime Minister. I and my family had fled to the north, and we were sheltered in the Suncor Fire Bag work camp. And I took the call and said to the Premier after she gave her greeting, she says, what can we do for you? And the first thing I said is, well, you could build us an Eastern Bypass Road. Ha, ha, ha. That was important at the moment because we knew what was the path of the fire, and I was feeling kind of trapped in the north, quite frankly. But the next call I got, probably a day or two later, came from the Prime Minister. Same thing, Madam Mayor, how are you doing? How's your community? How are your people? They're doing pretty good, all things considered. What can we do for you? Well, you could get us a pipeline to cross the nation and access tidewater. Ha, ha, ha. The reason I illustrate these stories is that it doesn't matter what we're going through. We are an incredibly viable enterprise in this region, and our viability is compromised when we don't have our needs as significant as that being met. So for our industry partners, we know it's been a challenging couple of years with sustained low oil prices, pipeline uncertainties, and the introduction of carbon pricing, all at once, and now at a national level. That said, we also know how resilient and innovative that energy industry can be. Recent reports indicate that Suncor Energy, in a mere 18-month time period, has reduced the cost of production per barrel of oil from $37 a barrel to $22 a barrel. I know that that's just one company and one example, and there are many others. And we must remember and recognize that this change in how we do our business came with sacrifice to our workers and the community, but it is what was needed at a time when we're all committed to building back better in our own ways. As we head into 2017, let's not forget that there are still trillions of barrels of bitumen waiting to be unlocked, and we continue to a world-leading community in terms of economic production. It was pretty telling when we shut down for that month of evacuation, and our companies fell to it as well, that the GDP dropped by 0.6%, just a month. So the world needs energy, we know this, and now we have the time to get it right, instead of getting it fast as we had strived for so long. It's a time to plant. And the one thing that we've focused on for some time is sustainability. Contrary to what has sometimes been portrayed by national and international media, sustainability is an overarching aspiration as a community. Sustainability has always been a part of who we are. Our newest facilities, like the International Airport, Shell Place, Suncor Community Leisure Centre at McDonald Island, were built to impressive environmental standards in a way that helps to reduce the operating cost on these facilities in the years to come. We have steadily, and even against the backdrop of recovery from the wildfire, continued to thrive as a community of choice for national level sports and culture events. Even in our most difficult year, the following probably our greatest year in sport, the Year of Sport of 2015, Fort McMurray Monarchs defeated the Toronto All-Stars at Shell Place to win the National Senior Men's Championship. Fort McMurray Baseball, along with Regional Rec Corporation, were hosting the Baseball Canada Cup at the end of July after evacuation, and they did it so swimmingly well that they're certainly hoping they'll be hosting the 2018 Baseball Canada Under-18 Championships. Following the men's basketball nationals that were held in our community in March, it was just last week that our Keanu Huskies took a silver medal at Shell Place with national soccer competition. The Fort McMurray Giants played their inaugural season sort of in Edmonton, but then they came home where they belong. And don't look now, but of course our oil barons are looking to be back in first place. The list is never exhaustive, but as we look forward to the return of the Syncrude Boreal Open in our future and the honored to welcome athletes yet again to the 2018 Alberta Winter Games and the Communities in Bloom Symposium in 2020, I can assure you that the future here is still bright. We're proudly centered on energy, but this proves our path forward. Sustainability has delivered depth of purpose that showcases the real nature of our community in a way that demonstrates our true spirit, supports small business and the local economy, inspires our youth, and puts your community facilities and venues to good use. The wildfire and its impact was devastating. This week's report by the Conference Board of Canada suggests that recovery from the wildfire will spur $5.3 billion in spending from the insurance industry and all orders of government. And I thought that growth was daunting. Well, that's pretty significant, but there is always amazing silver linings, and that certainly happens here in our region. The biggest benefit, though, that I think from the wildfire was our national community of Canada finally got to see the real Fort McMurray and Wood Buffalo face to face. As we rebuild and we recover, this recovery takes shape into 2017 and the years ahead. It's these type of events and the initiatives that will continue to shine the right spotlight on our incredible community, now known for more than oil. And of course, speaking of sustainability, and even if I wasn't, I'm going to stay there anyways, we are transforming the way that we seek social and economic sustainability benefits for the region as the first municipality in Alberta to use social procurement framework and to be certified by Social Canada. Pretty fancy words. They mean more than I can probably express here. But we're very proud that this approach was supported by the Fort McMurray Construction Association and many others in business and the social profit sector and our Indigenous partners across the region. The social procurement framework ensures that goods and services are still accessed through a competitive and open bidding process while proactively seeking to achieve community benefits by taking much more strategic approach to procurement. I can't speak of sustainability without mentioning the Zero Waste Initiative, which is about using waste that currently goes to our landfill and creating energy and zero waste products. Our very real vision for our community is to be a model for sustainable living in the North. We already have containerized aquaponics to grow food in greenhouses, and plans are in place to install a gasifier to process wood chips, which will create heat and electricity. As we perfect our solid waste alternative process, even household waste could be converted into energy to heat these greenhouses year-round. On top of that, our public golf course, like the Miskinaw Golf Club, is using recycled water for all of its irrigation so it doesn't impact the clear water at the Baska or Snai. We envision the future where we process all of our waste that can't be recycled. And as we reinvest and diversify, we're even looking at importing cooking oil to convert to biodiesel for local vehicles. We envision partnerships with businesses to convert waste products into environmentally friendly products, and Sustainable Eco Park will house new businesses with sustainable business models. We're especially proud as we launch the Wood Buffalo's Utility Corporation, the utility of the future. It is a new and exciting initiative based on sustainability practice and collaboration with our industry, as well as partnerships with local and Indigenous businesses. In partnership and using the first aerobic landfill in Canada, Wood Buffalo Utilities could potentially deliver the world's largest landfill carbon offset project and potentially become largest carbon offset project ever. It would bring to reality the idea of taking industrial waste from tailings ponds and actually transforming it into energy generation for both the industry and residents. This efficient energy source could make us the only municipality in North America to be carbon neutral. And we didn't need a tax to do it. It's a time to build up. This initiative is win-win for both our region and the province, and indeed the entire country, by supporting environmental initiatives and then having the revenue come back to you as taxpayers to help with municipal projects and increase much-needed service levels. More importantly, though, we need to build new homes, restore communities, understanding that things will never be the same, but we can build back better, together with safety as a top priority. 2017 is a big year in recovery, and I know that the people in this room will lead the way for us, like they have so many times before. I've always said that even at $140 oil, our most valuable resource is you, our people. A people with strength and resilience, here for each other, together, and committed to an even stronger community. When our national broadcaster, the CBC, chooses winning Canadian story, they pick those that talk of perseverance and tenacity, those that speak of holding strong in the face of adversity, or of not being afraid to start over again. Based on that, we may stand at a crossroads, but we will become a winning Canadian story once again. Our community is built upon the legacy of our Indigenous, First Nations, and Métis people. And today we continue to be a diverse and multicultural community with hundreds of nationalities represented in our schools. We may be pouring new foundations every day, but we've already got a great place to start. Our family-friendly, can-do, hard-working community is open to new ideas, and we take the time to listen. Our people know how to work together in times of celebration, but even more importantly, in times of difficulty. We are relentless workers committed to our community, the industry that has been so good to us, our province, and our country. We are in for the long haul. This is home, and we will rebuild it. It is a time for love. We have always been that generous community. You know, the United Way of Canada has ranked us the most giving community per capita for almost a decade, and this year it was again that spirit that defined us. Not the price of oil or the wildfire. It was heartwarming to see Albertans and Canadians giving back when we needed them the most too. We needed to keep going and give even more this year, whether it's to the United Way, the Wood Buffalo Food Bank, Send Us Anonymous, or another initiative. I urge you to think of our residents that need it most at the holiday season. And if you are a resident who needs it, I encourage you to take the support that's offered. We mean it with the greatest of consideration. It's a time to be born. In these challenging times, our resilient community is again open to reinvention and new possibilities like never before. We're no strangers to hard work, and the years of doing hard work in remote, sometimes adverse conditions has actually made us expert at thinking outside the box. And most importantly, we are still here and we are strong. So yes, to everything, there is a season. And now is the season for us to give it our very best shot. We owe it to our first responders, our families, our community. This is a time of possibility. And as I exit the stage, it's time for us to create the next chapter of our very own Canadian story, a winning story that together only we can build. Thank you.